We know Andrew Wyatt as the man who led Bill Cosby out of court in handcuffs.
This is Aaron, Saeed.
Now he's leading us to the comedian's home for the past 140 days. SCI Phoenix in Collegeville, the maximum security prison about an hour outside of Center City. So you've taken this drive at least 15 times.
This is my 15th time.
It's a 35-mile ride down 76 to the Pennsylvania Turnpike, one that Wyatt takes every other week.
When I walk into that room with him, he stand up straight, shakes your hand, and he's smiling. Right now, he is so creative right now. You know, I was talking to Mrs. Cosby last night, and she was talking about how now he's more creative than ever. You know, he is, in his mind, developing shows, in his mind, developing documentaries.
While he's in prison.
While he's in prison.
Preparing for the next chapter.
Everything that you see us doing has been designed and implemented by Mrs. Cosby. She runs the entire show. We go over our next moves with her, you know, even this interview.
So she's aware?
Yeah, she's aware. She's very aware. She's appreciative that, you know, interviews are happening, especially around this time of Black History Month, to talk about Mr. Cosby, because he is a civil rights icon.
Civil rights, a phrase mentioned several times over 2 days of interviews with Wyatt, both during our drive and in our studios a day earlier. He says Bill Cosby is channeling civil rights leaders, believing he was railroaded by a system that targets black men.
He said, look, I spent time with MLK, I spent time with Malcolm X, I spent time with Nelson Mandela. They told me if I live long enough and if I keep doing what I'm doing out here to humanize people, one day I'm going to end up in a situation like this.
Cosby was convicted of drugging and sexually assaulting Andrea Constant in his home back in 2004.
When I visit him, it's nothing sad about it. He's not sad. He's not remorseful because he did nothing wrong. Him and Mrs. Cosby dealt with their infidelity in the privacy of their marriage.
What about all of the women that have come forward and said, no, this was more than infidelity?
The sheer volume of people coming forward making an accusation doesn't mean that it's true. And what America has said is that women don't lie. You know, women do lie. It's a pretty dire situation to have him in prison. But I always say Montgomery County got what they wanted, but they gave us what we needed. Because now the world gets to see the injustice. The world gets to see how, you know, Bill Cosby was railroaded, and you have people like Weinstein out, movies still playing. None of his projects have been taken off of the airways. The people in his films still get to make a living. You have people who've been accused of things like Kevin Spacey, no jail time. This, as Mr. Cosby says to me at the end of every visit, this is bigger than Bill Cosby. Right now, I'm his only visitor outside of his attorneys, and that's the way he wants it.
So Camille Cosby has not visited?
She has not visited him. He does not want her to visit him.
Wyatt told me Cosby prefers to speak to his wife by phone 3 times a day for 3 minutes, the most he's allowed. And Cosby's day begins before dawn.
And he said, wake me up at 3:30 a.m. They wake him up at 3:30 a.m. and he exercises. He's in his cell, he does leg lifts. He pushes up against the bed and does push-ups to stay in shape. He showers and he waits for breakfast.
Food that he rinses off thoroughly to cut down on the sodium. Wyatt says it's what he does with every meal.
He puts it in a little cup. He walks over to a sink. He runs water in the cup over the food, shakes the food up and drains it. And he does that 3 times. And he eats the food. He looks really amazing. He's down to 195 pounds. He hasn't eaten any bread, no dessert, and he hasn't drank any coffee since he's been in there. Now, the funny part about it, Mrs. Cosby has been trying to stop him from drinking coffee for 55 years, and she said it took this to stop him from drinking coffee.
When you hear him describe how he's surviving, what do you think?
He's mentally strong. He's just a strong man.
The last time we saw Andrew Wyatt and Bill Cosby together was the day Cosby was led away in handcuffs.
What was that last ride like on the way to sentencing?
Look, Mr. Cosby had prepared himself. He prepared all of us probably 3-4 months before sentencing. And he said, look, this guy has a vendetta against me, and he's gonna throw the book at me. He said, so I'm ready, I'm prepared, I'm ready to go in, don't worry about me.
So he knew what was gonna happen.
He knew.
Every day since, Wyatt says Cosby is all about making the most of his situation. He doesn't have a cellmate, but other inmates are assigned to help Cosby get around, mostly because of his age and the fact that he's legally blind. And Wyatt says he enjoys talking to them, hearing their stories, encouraging them.
He said despite the circumstances, he said this is an amazing experience.
Did he really use the term amazing experience?
Yeah, he used the term amazing experience.
After about 50 minutes in the car,
This is the place.
we pulled up to SCI Phoenix,
I'm going to visit the GOAT, the greatest of all time.
known here as inmate NN 7687. In Collegeville, Erin Coleman, NBC10 News.